Welcome to the Maine Science Podcast. I'm Kate Dickerson. Today's episode is a conversation I had with Jamie Fogg, who is an undergraduate at the University of Maine studying marine science. Longtime listeners know that I have often interviewed people who are much farther along in their career than Jamie is, but she has been researching different aspects of marine sciences for a significant number of years now, and I realized it would be really interesting to have a conversation with someone who is on the early end of their career to hear about their path already in science. Our conversation was recorded in April 2025. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Jamie, welcome to the Maine Science Podcast. It's a delight to have you. I realized when I reached out to you, I haven't done nearly enough up-and-coming new scientists, so this is a really great opportunity for me. You are a student, an undergraduate at the University of Maine, who is doing really cool marine science work. So before I let you get into that and talk about your really actually impressive amount of research that you've done already, what did it for you? How did you decide that this is the path you wanted to take?
Well, thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here. I'm from Maine. I'm local to Bangor. So I grew up around the Orono area. Like you said, I go to the University of Maine. I grew up outdoorsy. My dad's like a big outdoorsman. I grew up fishing a lot. My grandparents had a house on the coast. So I was kind of always like around the ocean, even though I was like up in Bangor most of my life. Yeah, so I've really been passionate about the ocean and the environment my entire life. But I didn't really know that I wanted to go into marine science until my senior year of high school. I was in a marine biology class that was field-based at John Baptist Memorial High School in Bangor. And I had this amazing teacher, Tanya Lubansky, who brought out a cohort of, I think it was like 6 students. And we went out to Mount Desert Rock Island, which is like a tiny little barren rock, 26 nautical miles off the coast of Maine. So it's just like a rock and a lighthouse. And it's actually the most magical place on earth, I really think. So yeah, I got out there my senior year of high school and was kind of out there to do a research project. So I looked at gray seals and like wound rates. So looking at types of wounds, so lacerations and like shark bites and entanglements. Yeah, and then I kind of just really fell in love with being in the field, doing research, hands-on, all like in the intertidal zone with a bunch of people who also love the ocean. It's just a magical place to be. And I realized I was like, yeah, I think this is what I want to do for the rest of my life as an 18-year-old, which is really cool. And I'm really happy that I had that experience.
So I'm curious, did you guys go out to that rock because it's a place where seals hang out? Or was it you got there and you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to look at?
Yeah. So it's actually, the island is owned by College of the Atlantic. And so it's a research station. So there's just a lighthouse and a home where lighthouse keepers used to live. It used to be owned by the Coast Guard, but then was, I think, bought by College of the Atlantic for a research station. And yeah, I think they chose that spot for the research station just because of how accessible marine life is there. So when I was going out for that class, I didn't really know what I was going to do for a research project, but that was the goal of the trip, to do a research project. And once I got there on the boat, we were just kind of like waiting to get on the island, and there were so many seals. I had never seen so many seals in my entire life. And I was like, oh my goodness, these are adorable. They look like little puppy dogs just like swimming around in the water. And I love them and they're silly. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do this week. And I noticed that there were a lot of entanglements from fishing gear. So I think like most commonly we saw ropes and things like wrapped around their necks, which is really upsetting and very like real to see. So I think that definitely motivated me to do projects like this in high school.
That's really cool. I mean, it's really interesting to think about the inspiration you got from a class trip, which first of all sounds amazing, but also that it just hits you right away. Like, that's awesome. That's really cool. All right. So you're studying marine science at UMaine. And actually, the reason you caught my eye is you were recently, I think last summer, awarded a NOAA, I don't know if it was a fellowship or a scholarship. But essentially, the part that I thought was really cool was, first of all, if I have it right, you're a junior now, right?
Yes.
and you're already doing really cool research for a while. Kind of, the number of years is often where some of us may have gotten to if we'd gone to grad school and done that. But also the NOAA fellowship is really cool and an interesting thing to talk about because it leads into my thesis, which is, for longtime listeners, Maine research is way up there and we don't talk about it enough and how impactful it can be. And getting kind of this stamp of approval from a federal agency that does really extraordinary research, I think is really cool. So I will now stop talking and let you talk about kind of the research that you got to that and what you're hoping you're able to build on.
Yeah. So like you said, I was accepted into the NOAA Hollings Scholarship. So that's like a tuition scholarship for school, but then also they offer a internship, which I'll have this summer. And so this summer I just got my placement and I'll be in Woods Hole. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, which is like a marine science hub. And the ocean is just so accessible there. I went and visited for the first time a few weeks ago and I was just in shock. It seems like every other building down there is marine science related. So I'm really excited. I'll be working on a passive acoustic project of North Atlantic right whales, which are highly endangered species of whales. So I'm very grateful to have been, first of all, just accepted into this program, but then this has also helped me form more connections on campus and also just helped me with motivation for doing more stuff in the future. This is really exciting work that I could be doing and that I will be doing. So yeah, I'm really excited.
So you said this is really great, making more connections on campus. What do you mean? With other students, with faculty, with other types of research?
Yes. So I'm also a part of a research program called Maine Top Scholars. And that was actually that scholarship I got from presenting my science project from high school on Mount Desert Rock Island. I was awarded this scholarship from this project that I did out there. And that covers my tuition. And then also it matches me with a research mentor on campus. So I've been working with Dr. Christina Kamen since I was a freshman. And she's just been an amazing mentor to me. And I've done a lot of research specifically with seals and genetics with her. Yeah, so I feel like I have already been quite connected on campus with some research mentors and faculty. But I feel like this NOAA Hollings Scholarship has really helped me reach out to more advisors and more professors doing research. Christina was on a sabbatical this year, so I actually joined another lab and now I'm doing polychaete research, which is nothing that I had done before. So I think just the opportunity to explore new things. But yeah.
Did you say polychaete research?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
So specifically, we're looking at polychaetes. So they're little tiny marine worms that burrow into shells of oysters specifically. So these are a big problem in aquaculture farms because they burrow into the oyster shell and then they make the oyster shell brittle. I think they call them an economic parasite because it's harming the cost. It's making the oyster harder to sell. So yeah, we're looking at the different types of worms through genetic analysis and also electron microscopy, which has been really cool.
So you have been able to, starting with your high school project, and now through UMaine, you've been able to do kind of large marine mammals research. You're going to go do more of that this summer, and you've been able to do much smaller critters with some microscopic work. Have you found, I realize I'm asking this before you actually get to go to Woods Hole, which is entirely fair. Have you found that you like one more than the other, or do you just like all of it right now because it's all so cool?
Yeah, it is all so cool. I think something that I pulled out of doing this polychaete research is that I really like genetic work, no matter if it's in a very large mammal or a little tiny worm. So yeah, I think my main focus going into marine science, I was marine mammals. They're awesome. They're cute. They're just fascinating. But then Dr. Kamen introduced me into environmental DNA and the world of genomics and health. And I think that all of the different research opportunities that I've had have kind of pointed back to genomics. which is fun.
I realize that was an incredibly leading question, so I apologize. Can you explain environmental DNA and how you use it in your research?
Yeah, so environmental DNA is a non-invasive way to collect DNA from the environment. So typically, the projects that I've been involved in, we're collecting water samples from haul-out sites of seals. So a haul-out site is when seals are up on shore. So we're collecting water from a boat, just kind of like out directly from where they're hauled out. So then we can collect genetic data from this water sample and filter the water into this tiny filter. And then we're able to take the filter and then extract the DNA from that filter paper. And then we're able to run a bunch of tests like quantitative PCRs to kind of tell the presence of a specific DNA. So like if we're looking for gray seals, we can say, oh yes, there are gray seals in this sample. Or we can also, from qPCRs, we can tell relatively how much DNA is in that water. So research project that I did with Christina, I think my sophomore year, we went to P-Town or Provincetown in Cape Cod, and we worked with Center for Coastal Studies, and we did a project to kind of test the limits of how far we can be from a haul out in the water and still collect DNA. And so this is really important because I think the whole point, at least for me, with environmental DNA is to really just hone in on the non-invasive aspects of it. Because other traditional methods of DNA collecting are typically like blood samples or skin samples, which can often be quite invasive and cause a lot of stress to the marine life and marine mammals. So this way we can be super far from the haul out of seals and know that we're still getting a high quantity of DNA in the water, then maybe we can be further away from the seals and still collect DNA and valuable information.
All right. I want to circle back to the scholarship that you got, the Maine Top Scholars. And I think it's a really fantastic program. People, again, who've listened to this podcast know that I am really impressed with how much support undergraduates at Maine get to do research. It's really remarkable. And the scholarship money and the tuition money is, of course, wildly important. But it seems to me, as this kind of outside observer, the critical part of that is getting a mentor and having someone you can work with. Have you found that to be true, number one? And number two, is there also kind of a collaborative group of students where you all are able to meet up outside of your mentor and just kind of help each other out?
Yeah, like I said, Dr. Christina Kamen has been my mentor since freshman year. And even outside of the Maine Top Scholar program, I've had just so many amazing, specifically like strong female mentors in marine science, which just really helped me solidify a future for myself in marine science and also just like allow me to see like, okay, yeah, women can be in this field and they can be very successful. So that's been amazing. So back to the Maine Top Scholar program, I was really fascinated with Christina's work before coming into undergrad. And actually, my high school teacher told me to reach out to her because she knew that we had similar interests. So then I joined her lab community. And her lab community was about, I think, like 4 PhD students. So I feel like that has really been such a crucial community for me in my undergrad because I've just been able to see and connect with really intelligent people and also just be able to see the research that they're doing and be inspired by it. So I think the lab aspect that the Maine Top Scholar program has allowed me to have is quite crucial to my undergraduate degree so far.
Well, I was just curious how much there is of a cohesive cohort of people, and there doesn't need to be, right? I would imagine actually people who are in this program are studying all sorts of different things. So it could be really hard to all get together and talk, right? So that's just a curiosity question.
Yeah, I think there are a few people that I know who are in this same cohort as I am with the Maine Top Scholar program. But I think it's definitely all lab-based and easier to form communities in the labs that we're in or like within the mentors that we're working under.
So how much of what you're seeing with the graduate students and their work was what you expected that kind of science would look like before you were in the lab?
I feel like I really didn't have a strong idea of what a PhD was, and even really research. Like, I had the research experience in high school, but the research that I'm doing in college now is much different. So I think the actual lab experience, like being in the lab with the PhD students, interacting with them, interacting with my mentor, has really actually allowed me to see like what a career in specifically like academia would be like.
I'm assuming you don't come from a family of academics, so it's a whole new world for you. Is that true?
Yeah.
My husband has a PhD and he did not come from a world of academics either. And it was really interesting because a lot of students who go for their PhD have that background. I mean, it's like everything else, right? Doctors have kids who are doctors and lawyers have kids who are lawyers. So having that opportunity to look at a new path is something that I think we forget how important that can be to change someone's perspective on what they can and can't do. All right, Woods Hole, I'm going to jump in there really quickly. How long is the internship this summer?
It's a 2-month internship.
And you know that you're looking at, was it the right whales?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing? Like you said, echolocation, right? So what is the project that you're going to be able to do in 8 weeks' time?
So I'm actually looking at passive acoustic.
Sorry, passive acoustic makes way more sense than echolocation. So
yeah, so I don't have specific information on exactly what my project will be, but the broad understanding that I have of it is I'm looking at data from passive acoustic monitors on the East Coast. And so then I'm going to be going through a lot of data, so a lot of sounds of like whales talking. And then I'll be going through all that data and looking for presence of right whales, because the presence of right whales is super important. There's like a lot of restrictions on boats and how close you can get to right whales and how fast you can go when there's a right whale in the general vicinity. So it's very new to me. I've never worked passive acoustics.
You know what? What we need to do is have this conversation, like bring you back so you can tell us what the research was. Because this was, not again, I keep tormenting you as a guest here. I'm asking you questions that you haven't had the opportunity to experience yet. So we can plan on having you back and you can tell us about that research. I think it's really interesting, right? Because one of the things that you said way early on in our conversation was that you noticed how gray seals were entangled. And I think anybody who's paying any kind of attention in Maine knows that that's an issue with the right whales. And one of the things that we have been unable to figure out is where they're getting entangled, right? What lobster ropes, where in the coast they're getting hit. And so even the opportunity to figure out where right whales are, like you said, will help figure out where we need to help protect them more.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I hope that this summer, in addition to doing what sounds like really cool work, you will also get a chance to kind of catch your breath and actually just experience the ocean in the southern part of the Gulf of Maine, because it is pretty extraordinary. Woods Hole is a pretty neat place.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It'll be fun and new.
Jamie, thank you for being a guest on here and letting me interrupt your semester schedule. I know you're kind of in the last throes of the semester, and my recollection of junior year is that it was the most intense of all of them. Maybe it's not so bad for you, but I actually really appreciate your time with this. I hope you have a great time at Woods Hole. And I was serious about you coming back and talking to us about your right whale research.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thanks for listening to the Maine Science Podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode by following us on your podcast platform of choice. And please leave a rating and review. It will help more people find us and help spread the word about some of the remarkable people doing science in Maine. The Maine Science Podcast is recorded at Discovery Studios at the Maine Discovery Museum in Bangor, Maine. The Maine Science Podcast is executive produced and hosted by me, Kate Dickerson, and edited and produced by Scott Loiselle. And the Discover Maine theme was composed and performed by Nick Parker.